Hi, and welcome to Quarter Turn Animation with the animation class. Say hi, guys. Um, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to select all of the NURBS curves. Then we're going to set keys on frame 1, blink, and we're going to set keys on frames 15, blink, and we're going to set keys on frame 30, blink. So I'm hitting S. I'm going to those things. I'm hitting S with everything selected. Now I'm going to go to frame 30 and I'm going to rotate the mover object, that's this pointy thing down here, 90 degrees, negative 90 degrees. So I'm going to type in negative 90, and then so that's our quarter turn. So it stays here while she shifts her weight, and then it turns here. So I have to know where her feet are going to be when she takes off and when she lands. So these two bricks that I've created here, one of them, this one, and I can color that if you want, if it helps at all. Where'd rendering go? Remember, you always got to rename things or else every following one will be like a hot pink. Okay, so that one will be hot pink. This one will be green, just so we can tell them apart. Oh, come on. Where did it go? Brick 2. Okay. So you'll notice that when this character starts off, I have this brick here to show me where her foot is. So as she's turning, I can leave this foot here because this will be the foot that she launches with. And then as I get here, this will be the foot that she lands on. So I have that place marked. And so it's left foot there, and then I turn this thing 90 degrees, and it's right foot there. Any questions about that? And I'll show you why I did that, why I do that in a second here. And these are just polygons that I've created. Cool. All right. So at frame 15, right, we need her to shift her weight onto this leg. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to go to a front view so I can see what's happening. I'm going to raise her up a little bit. I'm going to try and do all my animation on these 4 frames. I'm going to start turning her upper body a little bit to kind of telegraph what's happening. And I'm going to raise her arm out just to show my fingers are messed up. I really need a new model. I'm going to raise her arms up a little bit to kind of just show that she's moving. And then I'm even going to turn her head a little bit because she's going to be heading that way. And then what I'd like her to do is the front of her foot eventually will need to end up at the very front of this green brick, right? Because when I went here, you can see that's where it ends up. So I want to eventually have this one step there. And I want to start getting it in the right direction too. And I'm going to move the knee over a little bit. So it's the legs rotating around with the object, and then I'm going to check from front view and see where the weight is. Weight's too far that way. I still want it over this foot, and I still want this knee facing the right way. I'm going to take her higher. And so now this is what we have for animation so far. Her foot she's balanced over this leg. There we go. I'm making a straight line here, right? So all her weight now is on this leg. She's preparing to step down. All the weight's on this one leg. And then she's going to step down and then spin. So before I want this here already. I want her foot on the ground already so that she's just stepping down like that. But here we can get a little altitude. Go away. Okay, so but we need to keep this foot while she's transferring weight. Right now the weight isn't on that other foot yet. We need to maintain this one as the foot that's supporting the weight. Actually, this is kind of a frame where it'll transfer. So I'm splitting 15 and 30. I'm going to frame 22. I'm going to bring her down a little bit. I'm going to flatten this foot. I'm going to make sure that it is actually on this brick thing. I'm most concerned where the toe is hitting the tip of it. And I'm going to go in a little bit more and just make sure that it's hitting okay. All right, now we need to do weight transfer is on this foot, this frame. I turned off Move Local to have Move World on, and it's harder to animate like this. Once again, if you need to change the way things move, you can double click here and change this from World to Object, and then the arrows kind of are aligned with the foot. If they need them aligned with the world, then you change it to World, and they're aligned with the world. You're like, when would I ever use that? I'll just stay in one. You end up needing it. It's much easier. And the sooner you kind of get used to switching back and forth. I'm sure there's a hotkey for it too. I just don't know what it is. All right, let's check the front. Let's check the right view. That looks like a bottom view, doesn't it? There we go. All right, wait, it's off a little bit. Yeah. So we want this step down to distribute the weight between those 2 feet. And this one's sliding off a little bit, so we need to come forward. And just for fun, I'm going to bring all of her weight over here and bend her knee a little bit, because that'll give a settle to it. So she'll have that going on. Do-do, do-do. Any questions? How you noodle this? The main frames to consider here, I went in and did a whole bunch of in-betweeny things to kind of make it look nicer. But the main frames to consider here are frame 1, frame 15, frame 22, and frame 30. Frame 26 and 19 and 9 are just what I call accentuation frames to kind of help the animation along. Usually I would only do 1, 15, 22, and 30. And then when I was all done with that, if I wanted to change stuff up, I would go back and add maybe some of these in-between frames to kind of help the animation along. Sometimes you kind of fight the model a little bit. If I just show polygons, this is what it looks like. Any questions about anything? Yeah, it's really, you know, it's kind of a complicated animation, but if you break it down, um, it kind of becomes easier. And if you try and limit your animation keys to at first, not you don't have to limit them all the time, but if you limit them at first to that range that I was talking about, um, the 1, 15, 22, and 30, um, you'll be able to dial it in quicker, and then you'll be able to accentuate or trick it out a little bit. And like I just went in and mucked with her arms a little bit so that they're like that's a lot of movement for her arms. La da da da. You can do weird stuff. Once you have this done, you can do weird stuff. Like I can move this all the way back here. And we go like full ballerina with her or something. Come on, give it to me. When you're twisting the body like I'm doing here, it's good to do it in little tiny segments so each one gets its own little sort of twist. One singular sensation, every little step we take. Do 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 do. So now you see how I can take that base animation that I've done and kind of flourish it up a bit. This is so now this is like way dancey or jovial or something. Like if there were hip hop music going in the background and this was like a dance game, but she needed to turn, this is like what you would do for a quarter turn in a hip hop game or something, like a dance game. Cool. All right. And it has audio too. Great. Now I get to listen to myself.